I love kitchen cabinet hardware. I think it's the easiest way to completely transform any kitchen, whether it's super colorful or just white, which a lot of people seem to like these days. A colleague of mine once said that
the kitchen cabinet hardware is the jewelry of the kitchen.
It's the element that can sparkle, stand out, and could potentially ruin the look of your kitchen. So I want to go through a bunch of different examples from thespruce.com about kitchen cabinet hardware ideas, which can hopefully give you some ideas in your kitchen cabinet design endeavors. Let's just go through these quickly and I'll give you a bit of a yay or a nay on whether I like them or not and why. First one, black metal on white wood. Kind of standard, not too crazy about white cabinets as a whole. To me, it's like getting a white car. Like, I'm pretty sure in some areas that's the cheapest car you can get because it's no color. It's just the base level. I guess by adding the black metal, it gives you a bit of contrast and a bit of a farmhouse or industrial kind of vibe. I don't mind the example they give here because of those natural wood elements, but as a whole, not something I would necessarily gravitate towards. Brass on pale gray. Gray. You know what? I think gray cabinets are a little more exciting and nuanced than white cabinets, so I'll give this one a pass. I think brass is a great metal to use because it just has this timelessness to it. It's a bit softer than a bright yellowy gold. It's not as polarizing as a rose gold, especially in the kitchen. So yeah, I think this is nice. The brass adds some warmth to an otherwise lifeless gray cabinet, so I'll go with it. Because we're just talking about the hardware. Hardware's fine. Scandi style wood. This is nice. I like this because this is something that's a bit different. I love pale woods in general, and Scandi is nice. It's warm, it's clean, it's streamlined. Not something you see super often either, which is fun for me. Silver tab pulls. This is very basic to me, and I think aesthetically, I'm a bit torn on it because I do like the minimalist aspect of it, but I do find that it just looks a bit Home Hardware, Home Depot, Canadian Tire, you know, like more so mudroom than kitchen for me. Rose gold bars. I mean, I love the green on the island. I love the wood. I'm not sold on rose gold in the kitchen for most cases. It's pinky, so it will be a little more polarizing, and kitchen hardware isn't really mega expensive to replace in case you get sick of it, but if you know you might get sick of it, just don't put it on. So, not sold. Black on black. Not a huge fan of this because can't see where you're grabbing. It's like, where's the handle? I need some contrast. Same with those minimalist metal pulls. Maybe it looks a bit clean visually, but not practical at all. Don't like it. Navy and gold, super overdone, but you know what? Still looks good. I gotta give it a pass. Half moon is cute. A little more comfy, cozy, farmhousey, you know. I like the color they use on those cabinets. A bit of a grayish, a little warm gray action. Leather pulls, no. Not really in a kitchen because something about leather, it doesn't feel very sanitary to me in a place where I'm cooking my food. And the thing about leather, which I do enjoy as a material, generally speaking, is it's going to give you a patina the more you use it. Some people love it. I know I do. But to other people, it just looks like it's old and dirty and greasy. And guess what? It's going to get old and greasy and grimy because I'm sure you work with oily, fatty substances in the kitchen of all places. So all of those things are going to get absorbed into that leather and it just won't look too cute. I promise you. On things like dressers and all that, yeah, leather pulls, they're cool. They look different. I can buy them, but not in kitchen cabinets. Swan neck cabinet pulls, if you're really into like antiques and stuff, sure. Silver tones. And specifically with this example here, it's clearly like a really over the top, really vibrant wallpaper that's kind of behind. A lot of color, also mixed cabinet colors. So you're having natural wood and white. So there's a lot going on here. And I kind of like the silver aspect because it just sort of sits in the background a little bit. Doesn't make a huge statement because everything else is. And it kind of goes against what you might expect where you might go with a warmer metal rather than that sort of plain old silvery gray. But I don't mind that because it's probably going to work with the stainless steel appliances that are likely in this kitchen. So that's another thing to think about too. What do your appliances look like? Maybe you can incorporate that not only with color, but also the general shapes within those appliances. Matte black metal on pale blue. Not too crazy about this one for the reason of like, why? Why matte black? You know, like the pale blue is airy, kind of like the sky. Don't you want something lighter, you know, like to maybe represent the clouds? I think my main beef with matte black in general is typically you have to really be careful what you're buying because if they're cheaply made and there's just this flat paint on the metal, that matte black paint is not going to withstand a bunch of abuse. The paint might flake off eventually. It'll scratch easily. So just be careful. These are things you're going to be touching and handling on a daily basis. So get something that's going to last. I hate this one. Mix and match. I never recommend doing this. Don't mix and match your hardware. It's just going to make your space look busy and haphazard. The one consideration I would make is maybe you have a really fun accent faucet that looks really cool that isn't the same material. But when it comes to all your pulls and your knobs, just try and keep it consistent. Mixing metals and all that, it's a dangerous game. You don't want to overcrowd your space visually. Now, these next two are interesting. So in both examples, we have white kitchen cabinets, and I've talked a lot about white cabinets. In one example, we have gold on white, and in the other, we have rose gold and white. You can forget what I said earlier about rose gold because I actually prefer rose gold and white over traditional yellowy gold for whatever reason. I just think the rose gold looks a bit softer. It's not as glam. It's a bit more toned down. But if you were to ask me, I would probably go bronze or even brass over both of them. But that's just my preference. Here's an interesting one that I haven't seen very often, and maybe for good reason. Painted out cabinet knobs. Essentially, you have very basic wooden knobs that are painted the exact same color and paint and finish as the cabinets themselves, or a seamless look, or a cheap landlord look. Just sprayed everything and didn't bother covering it up. No, but I kind of appreciate the ingenuity and the simplicity of it. I just don't think it translates to an overall good finish. For me, again, you have to question the longevity of those knobs being handled over and over and over. Make sure you're using a really good quality paint or lacquer especially to really withstand hands, but there's no contrast, right? Yeah, it's seamless, but I want there to be seams, okay? Silver tubular pulls. So you have those inexpensive kind of metal pulls that look a lot like the pulls you might see on your oven and on your fridge. So again, I like the consistency there if it matches your appliances. I think that's a great way to sort of tie everything together really simply. And then we have cutouts. So if you can't decide on what hardware to use, just cut a hole around your hardware and then just use the hole. That's a great idea. All 36 examples of kitchen hardware are going to be in the description down below. Check it out for more context and let me know which one was your favorite and maybe your least favorite. More kitchen content right over here. We love kitchens on the Paint People. Maybe we should be called the Kitchen People from now on.